నుండి అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఇచ్చిన లింకే కదా. ఓకే.
Ma'am, shall we start now?
Yes, please.
So good afternoon, respected resource person and all the participants. Welcome to day 5 afternoon session on regulatory affairs, short-term certificate course. Today's afternoon's resource person is Mr. Kadapa Sandeep sir, currently working as associate manager in Accenture Technology. Sir is having 11 years experience in validation and compliance team, and sir has worked in Biocon and also had experience in cybersecurity and cloud technology. With this brief introduction, I'd like to request Sandeep sir to take over the session.
Thank you, Sarthi, for giving introduction. Hi, everyone. So I'll just start with today's topic. And just would like to say thanks to Dr. Jyoti ma'am for approaching me and for giving me opportunity to give this session. So to start with today's topic, I'm going to give on writing of inspection reports and regulatory warning letters. So before you know like how to write the inspection reports and how to take this regulatory warning letters, you need to know like what kind of audits will happen, and based on what kind of audits you will get what is the different type of inspection reports you have to write if you are an auditor. So in today's session, I am going to cover these 4 topics, like what are all the different types of regulatory audits, and like how to write your audit inspection report, and like what are all the contents covered in regulatory warning letters, and how it will impact the industry, and how to respond to those. I'm going to cover in this, and impact of warning letters will be covered as part of this. So when it comes to the first topic, like what are all the types of regulatory audits? We know like regulatory audits will happen to the different pharmaceutical industries, whether it is like pharma, biotechnology, or any related like monoclonal antibodies, tissue cultures, anything which comes related to human health. any form of administration of drug in that kind of industries will be covered in this kind of regulatory audits. So why these regulatory audits are important and why it is required? Like it is to ensure the safety, efficacy, and quality of the pharmaceutical products. These kind of audits are performed. So these are all the different types of regulatory audits. So when it comes to good manufacturing practice audits, so they are called as GMP audits. So main purpose of this audit is to ensure the pharmaceutical manufacturing facilities are complying with GMP guidelines and GMP regulations. So during this kind of audits, the focus areas will be facility design, equipment validation, process controls, cleanliness, documentation practices, and employee training. So normally when this kind of audits will be performed is like before any product filing is happening to any regulatory agency, first thing a facility audit will be performed to make sure whatever manufacturing you are doing in facility that is complying with the GMP regulations. So initially the approval will be given as facility approved for manufacturing this kind of medicines. Then post that followed by like any product related audit or something else will be conducted. So when it comes to good laboratory practice audits, so by the name it says it is related to the laboratory testing, this kind of environment. So that includes relevant laboratories conducting for non-clinical studies also. So when it comes to this kind of audit, the focus area will be analytical procedure, record keeping, equipment calibration, study protocols, and integrity of the study data. So when it comes to analytical procedures, like what kind of procedures you are following, standard operating procedures, like how the records are maintained, how authentic the records are written, and like on what frequency you are doing equipment calibration, and what are all the study protocols is followed for this analytical procedures. And the integrity of study data includes like non-tampering, kind of non-editable data storage, and you will be providing some level of I can say it will be given like only minimal required people will be shared with that kind of data. So the particular people who is focused on that kind of work, for them this kind of data access will be given. It's a kind of minimal required access control type of thing. When it comes to good clinical practice audits, so it is to evaluate the compliance with GCP regulations in critical trials. So when it comes to this, the focus areas will be informed consent, data integrity, safety reporting, trial protocols, and documentation of clinical trial activities. And there are some other type of audits like pharmacovigilance audits. So this is to assess and compliance with pharmacovigilance regulations related to the monitoring and reporting of adverse drug reactions. So in this type of audits, the focus area will be your signal detection, adverse event reporting, risk management plans, and compliance with reporting timelines. So when it comes to data integrity audits, this is mainly focused on the data generated part and how the data is processed and how the data is reported throughout the pharmaceutical life cycle. That will be audited through this kind of audits. So the main focus area will be like how data is recorded, how data storage is happening, like whether you have any backup plans, restoration plans, and data transmission, data access controls, like as I told you, the minimal access controls and electronic record keeping. So these kind of areas will be focused during this data integrity audits. So when it comes to supplier and vendor audits, It is to assess the compliance of suppliers and vendors with the regulatory requirements and industry standards. So if you are sourcing a critical kind of element from a supplier or from a vendor, so for that kind of critical grade, like normally any material which is sourced to pharmaceutical industry, the vendor or supplier will be given as a risk grades. So if it is a normal consumable, it will be just given as a low risk. And for low risk, you no need to go and audit the supplier or vendor. You just have to take consent from them. Like you will be sending some consent forms saying whether you have this kind of procedure or what kind of cleaning procedure you follow. So you will just look for the basic requirements to manufacture those kind of ingredient and that you are receiving to your pharmaceutical industry. But when it comes to a critical kind of material, so in those case, mandatorily you have to audit the supplier. Suppose if you take a pre-fill syringe, so the syringe manufacturer will be somewhere, and you have a pharmaceutical industry where in that case you will be filling ingredient in the syringe. So in that case, the syringe comes as a medical device, which comes as a critical component. So you will go to the supplier, you will do vendor audit, you will visit their premises, you will look for their standards, procedures, what they follow, and that should be reported when you are going for your filing. So the main focus areas will be quality of raw materials and adhere to specifications and supplier qualification process and documentation practice. And there are some inspections called mock inspections. So these are all taken as a internal audits. It is designed to simulate the regulatory inspections and to identify potential areas of non-compliance and prepare for actual inspections. So instead of going company directly, like maybe when you are going for filing directly, if you are going for audit, you may end up with some kind of 483s or warning letters. So to avoid that and to build your process robust, you should have internal controls, and periodically, either by the CQA, like central QA or some kind of departments, they prepare this internal audits, and the internal audit findings also will be documented, and what all actions taken for these findings, everything will be documented during mock inspections. If you see some of the international regulatory audits, in that they'll ask for regular mock inspection reports also. So in that they'll verify what and all you have identified by your own, and what kind of actions you have taken for them, and what is the current status also they may check, depends on the type of filing. So the focus areas for this mock inspection will be overall compliance with regulatory requirements and documentation practice and readiness for the regulatory. So the quality system audits, it is to evaluate the effectiveness of pharmaceutical companies' quality management system. So in case of QMS audits, you will be verifying change control process, corrective and preventive actions, what are the deviations and document control, quality policy adherence, everything will be verified during quality system audits. Especially in these audits, like if you have encountered through any deviations, what and all corrective actions you have provided, and whether the action is implemented or not, that will be verified during this quality system audits. Then it's facility inspection readiness audits. So it is to assess the facility preparedness for the regulatory inspections. So the documentation completeness and inspection procedures, employee training and overall inspection readiness will be verified during this facility inspection readiness audits. And there are one more kind of audit, like risk-based audits. So in this, the prioritize and focus audit efforts on areas with the highest risk of non-compliance and product quality issues. Like in case of your company, like where will be the highest risk is associated, those kind of areas will be audited. Normally, any facility, if it is like initially when they start the facility-based risk assessments will be performed. It is called FMEA type also, failure mode effective analysis. So that kind of risk-based approaches will be followed, and through in that it will be verified what and all facility related risk associated with that, and what and all activities performing in those facility, and for each activity what will be the risk associated with that will be given by a rating, and based on that those areas will be audited to ensure like no non-compliance will occur during regulatory audits or either in the manufacturing. So identification and assessment of high risk areas and development of risk mitigation strategies and ongoing risk monitoring are the focus areas in this kind of audits. So these are all different types of regulatory audits, and it is essential for ensuring the pharmaceutical companies to maintain compliance with regulatory requirements and to uphold product quality and safety and continuously to improve their process. These are all different kind of audits they have to go through, and they have to do internal audits to make sure they are well ready with the regulatory audits. So what is the audit process flow? So initially audit will be performed as per agenda. So it is for the facility practices or for product validation, or it is for the compliance inspection. So after audit compliance inspection, either audit reports or 483s or warning letters will be issued. If there is no audit findings or anything, a normal audit report will be issued. And if there are some kind of minor things or which is not finally decided as a non-compliance, or which requires some kind of explanation from management, those kind of things will be given as a 483s. And if it is a critical non-compliance which is deviating the CGMP process, then the warning letters will be issued straight away. So writing of audit findings and observations which requires clarity of 483 and clear non-compliance warning letters are the next process of audit. So after this issuance of non-compliance letters or audit observations, the next step will be your audit compliance. So this compliance involves the review of organization policies, procedures, process, files, and documentation to determine whether they are in alignment with the existing regulatory in the industry or not. That will be verified in the compliance. So at the end of this audit, it will be given as a judgment saying whether the facility or whether the product is complying with that regulation, like from whom the audit is organized. That will be given as a report, like whether it is complying or not complying. So what is the audit inspection report and how this report should be written, we'll cover in this session. So what is the purpose of inspection? So specific areas or process is targeted in this purpose of inspection. So these are all different areas in the audit inspection report in which you will be covering those kind of sections. So the first section should be the purpose, like whether it is facility related audit or whether it is product related audit, or already audit is performed and you have given some kind of corrective action, preventive actions to verify whether those CAPAs are implemented or not. A re-inspection will be performed as a compliance audit. So any these kind of audit, what is the purpose will be mentioned first in the audit report. Then the inspection details will be covered during this report. So what are all the details account of inspection activities performed, that will be covered in this audit report. Then the executive summary includes, it summarizes the key findings and observations in the audit report. And the conclusion, it says whether the facility or product, whatever is filed, is complying or not complying with the regulatory. That will be given as a conclusion. So when writing an inspection report for regulatory affairs, involves summarizing the findings, observations made during regulatory inspection. So this report is crucial for communicating the compliance status of the inspection facility or process or regulatory authorities. So below are this, you can see different parts of audit compliance report. So all these kind of sections will be included in each audit report. So it starts from the header information, and introduction will be there. Then executive summary will be written, and inspection team information, inspection scope and objectives, the inspection details, compliance assessment and observations and findings. What are the recommendations given by auditors to auditee, and what is the conclusion, whether any attachments or any acknowledgement, contact information. If any further kind of explanation required in this audit report, the auditor's contact information also will be provided in this audit report. So when it comes to header information, what should be there? Like, it includes the official name and logo of your organization on the top of the report, and the title of the inspection report, like what kind of audit it is, and to include the inspection date and name of the regulatory authority conducting this inspection. So if it is EMA or either it is PMDA from Japan, those kind of like if it is from US FDA, those kind of details, everything will be covered in this header information. Then when it comes to introduction, it provides the brief introduction to the purpose and scope of the inspection. So what is the purpose of this inspection? Whether it is a new drug application or whether it is a GMP facility related audit, those kind of details will be mentioned in this introduction report. So this includes details such as regulatory authority conducting the inspection and the inspected facility, and the specific areas or processes targeted will be mentioned in this introduction. So when it comes to executive summary, this summarizes the key findings and observations. So this includes a brief overview of compliance status and highlighting any major concerns or positive aspects. Everything will be mentioned in this executive summary. So audit report will not be only having the kind of observations only. If any organization is following some good practices to eliminate any risk, those kind of positive aspects also will be covered in this executive summaries. Then inspection team information. So that section will be having the list of names and titles of the members who is doing this inspection, and provides the details about any observers or experts who is participating in this inspection. Then inspection scope and objectives. So in this section, it will be defined the scope of inspection and specific objectives that is targeted during this inspection, and clarify the regulations, standards and guidelines which the inspection was conducted. Those things will be covered in the inspection scope and objectives. So in the inspection details section, the present a detailed account of inspection activities and discussing the specific areas, process or documents that are reviewed during inspection, and provide a timeline of inspection, including any of site visits we have done or any interviews they have taken place between auditor and auditee, or any document reviews they have done. Everything will be captured in this inspection details. Normally in the inspection details, like if there is any kind of explanation needed for any document, so the specific document owner or the SME, like those department SMEs, they sit with the auditors and they explain these kind of reports to the auditors. So the interviewer details and the interviewee details, both will be captured, and what are all the questions asked and what kind of answers they have given, each and everything will be detailedly captured in this inspection details. The next section is compliance assessment. So this section evaluates the compliance status of inspected facility or process. So this section, it will state any areas of non-compliance or deviation from regulatory requirements, and discuss any corrective actions taken by organization during inspection if applicable. Like if there are some kind of small key findings, for those things, like if you can take immediate measures to correct those kind of mistakes, that can be covered in this compliance assessment. Like if any practice related issues or any kind of human related issues, like kind of practices to be changed, so those kind of recommendations will be given by the auditors during their auditing, whether it is during their process audit or whether it is during their facility audit. Those kind of recommendations will be given, and online there itself, before the audit duration is completed, like normally these kind of audits will be performed minimum 3 to 5 days kind of timeline. So within that timeline, like before the audit closes for the complete timeline, if they take any actions, those kind of actions will be mentioned in this compliance assessment. Then observations and findings. So in this section, it is present detailed observations made during inspection, and what is it differentiate actually between the major and minor observations, and include positive findings or areas and good practices if they are applicable. So normally any observations or findings happen during this audit, those kind of observations will be categorized like either major or minor. So for major, like immediate kind of corrective actions or preventive actions should be taken. For minor, you can correct those mistakes because it may not be impacting your process. When it comes to recommendation section, it provides recommendation for corrective actions to address any identified non-compliance issues, and it clearly outlines the actions that organization need to take to rectify any deficiencies. So auditors, they'll give any recommendation if it is required. So this kind of recommendations, like company can take as a positive way, and they can use these recommendations to improve their process. But these recommendations will not be considered as any observations or any, like it won't be categorized either as a major or minor. So those kind of recommendations which is not impacting but can be improved, those kind of things will be given by auditors to auditees as a recommendations. Then the section of conclusion summarizes the overall inspection findings and compliance status, and it highlights any positive aspects or areas where the organization is doing well. So always the inspection report not only having the observations or findings, it will be also having the positive aspects of our organization where they are doing very well. Then the attachment sections include any relevant supporting documents such as photographs, charts, any additional reports, and attach any documents that were reviewed during inspection. So some of the documents that may need maybe some additional review or something, those kind of documents, the auditors normally request for a copy, and a control copy with confidential seal will be given to auditors as a attachment. Those can be taken and it can be attached to the audit reports. So when it comes to acknowledgement session, This section will be having the expressing the gratitude to regulatory authority and inspection team for their time and cooperation. And the contact information in that it will be provided the name, address, and the relevant communication details, mail IDs or something related to auditors, so that if you have any further questions related to this, you can contact them for getting the more clarification on that. So this is the formal report provided by a GMP audit. Like this is done by the EMA audit. So these are all the sections which is available in the EMA audit inspection report. So if you see, it starts from the report reference number, where you will be assigned with some kind of number so that you can track the report directly. And what and all the products are pharmaceutical forms, those details will be covered in that section. And the inspected sites, like a name and full address of the inspected site, exact locations, GPS coordinates, everything will be mentioned in this inspected site details. When it comes to activities carried out in this, you can see different kind of activities are available for pharmas, whether it is sterile manufacturing, non-sterile manufacturing, whether it is biologicals, product, primary packing, secondary packing, quality control testing, improving. So these kind of facilities can be audited, and against to that, if you see whether it is human related medicine or veterinary related medicine, that also will be ticked in this form, so that you will be knowing the criticality of that audit. And the inspection dates will be given in this section, like when the inspection has been taken place. Then the next section is having inspectors and expert details, like who is the inspector and who is the expert or assessor, if applicable. Like then any competent authority, if it is there, that also will be covered. So you may be thinking like, already we know this is a EMA audit, so you may think only that may be the competent authority. No, not that way. Normally, any international regulatory agency, if they are coming for auditing facility in some other country, like if EMA is coming to India, so Indian Drugs Association, those people also will be part of these kind of audits, and they should be mandatory knowing, like through them they should come to India, and when the audit is happening for the product approval or anything, these Indian regulatory people also will be available in the facility. So those details will be captured in this section. And references will be having any manufacturing authorities, EMA reference numbers, inspection requested by any agency, those kind of details will be written in this references section. And when it comes to introduction, as I told you previously, so any non-EA countries, and it should be stated whether the competent authority of the country or where the inspection took place, and was it informed of the inspection, or whether the competent authority took part in the inspection. All those details will be covered in this introduction. And in this introduction part, it also covers what is the previous inspection dates, if it is taken place, and who are the inspector involved in the previous inspection, and what are the major changes from the last inspection to current inspection. Everything will be captured in this introduction page. And the brief report of this inspection activities, like the scope of the inspection. So in that, the short description will be given, any product related or process related or GMP inspection, what kind of inspection it is, whether it is a routine or whether it is for the investigation purpose, what kind of audit it is, those kind of details will be given in the scope of inspection. And the inspected areas will be captured in this inspection report. And activities not inspected also will be written in this, because if it is audited for a facility which is having sterile manufacturing, maybe that facility may be having some other product which they do by non-sterile manufacturing also. So those areas will not be covered, because that kind of areas not in the scope of the audit. So those kind of details will be mentioned in this reports. Then personnel met during the inspection, names and who came, who explained what document, all the details will be captured in this section. And inspection findings and observations, which is relevant to inspection, and what are the deficiencies, everything will be captured in this section. Then the headings used, and what are the new headings introduced which is relevant, those kind of details also will be captured in this reports. So whether it is like if you got any observation which is related to quality management, or observation related to personals, or observations related to premises, observation related to equipments, documentation, production, quality control, contract manufacturer, analysis, complaints, product recalls, self-inspection, those kind of categorizations will be given along with those observations. And distribution and shipment, in this, the compliance with good distribution practice will be regarded, and the questions raised related to assessment of marketing applications also will be captured in this report. And other specific issues, if anything identified, that also will be captured. And any industry, they start with normally site master file to know like what are all the facility available, and what are all the areas present in the facility, and what and all kind of validations they do. Everything will be covered in the site master file. So normally they start with the site master file. So any assessment on the site master file, and what is the recent update done for the site master file, those kind of details also will be captured in this audit inspection report. So if any miscellaneous activities or any samples taken for further analysis, those kind of details will be captured in this. And if any annexes are attached, those kind of details also will be captured in the audit report. So list of deficiencies classified into critical and major. As I told you previously, if auditor is giving any deficiencies or observations, those kind of observations will be majorly categorized as either it is major or minor. So in which case it is classified as a major, where if you find like those kind of observations which is impacting directly to the product quality, in that case that will be categorized as a major. Or if you have some 5 to 6 different minor categories, so all 5 minor categories together you can put it as a major, and under one major point you can give all these minor categorizations. And inspectors' comments on the manufacturer response to the inspection findings also will be captured in this report. And inspector comments on the questions, issues raised during assessment reports, that also will be captured in the report. And if any recommendations for further actions, that also will be captured in this kind of audit inspection report. And the summary and conclusion, in this section, the final summary will be captured to ensure the product is finally meeting the compliance or non-compliance, and what is the degree of compliance they are currently with. That will be captured during this summary and conclusions. And finally, names and signatures of organization, which is signed by the inspectors and who are all the auditors, those signatures will be taken, and this will be taken as a proof of audit. And based on that, further 483s or warning letters will be issued after this site inspection report is given. So what is the definition of this deficiencies? So what is critical deficiency? So a deficiency which is produced or leads to significant risk of producing either a product which is harmful to the human or veterinary patient, or a product which could result in a harmful residue in a food particulate producing animal. This kind of observations, they are considered as a critical deficiencies. And in case of major deficiency, it is considered as a non-critical deficiency, which is produced or may produce a product which does not comply in marketing authorization, which indicates a major deviation from EU GMP, and which indicates a major deviation from the terms of manufacturing authorization, and which indicates a failure to carry out satisfactory procedures for release of batches, or a failure to qualified person to fulfill his legal duties, or combination of several other deficiencies. As I told you previously, uh, many minor deficiencies can be bundled into one point of measure, and that can be given as a major point. And there are other deficiencies also, in which they are not either categorized as a critical or major, but which indicates a departure from the good manufacturing practices. Those kind of deficiencies can be given as a other deficiency kind of category. So what is the regulatory warning letter? And this is actually issued for the significant violations of the regulations. So regulatory warning letters are official communications issued by the regulatory agencies to the companies or individuals to address the significant violations of regulations. So normally 483s are considered as deficient points, but can be closed with some kind of explanation given, or what is the further kind of controls any company is having, that can be explained to avoid conversion of 483s to warning letters. But these warning letters are straight away given by considering they are the most critical phases and which may lead to the product quality violation. So those kind of observations will be given as regulatory warning letters. So according to FDA, warning letters are issued to achieve voluntary compliance and to establish prior notice. So these regulatory warning letters are used to ensure the firm's top management understand the seriousness and the scope of violations. So these letters typically highlight the observed non-compliance with regulatory requirements and may outline specific corrective actions, and recipient must take this. And the regulatory warning letters serves as a formal means of communication to address the concerns and to ensure the corrective measures are implemented properly. So normally a 30 working days deadline will be given as a submission of firm response to this kind of warning letters. So what is 483? The form 483 by FDA, it is the investigations to officially record the inspection observations at the completion of an establishment inspection. So the 483s are not violations, but it is considered as probable kind of uh, violations, or if you are not able to explain them sufficiently, that may turn into violation. So this is presented to the management on the day of inspection, and a 15 working day deadline will be given for the submission of firm response to this FDA 483s. So if this is received by FDA after 15 days of 15 working days, so they will not review these kind of 483 responses, and straight away they issue the warning letters. So what are the contents of 483? So the significant objectionable conditions or practices will be given as 483s. So this is having observations of questionable significance, but are discussed verbally with the firm's management during inspection and are reported in the establishment report. And non-GMP areas may be addressed post-marketing adverse drug experience reporting issues are listed in descending order significance. Recurring or repeat observations may be explicitly noted in the 483s. So 483s, what it should not contain is, it should not contain the labels or labeling related issues and promotional materials or establishment registration details. This kind of things will not be covered in the 483 reports. So what are the key points when it comes to these warning letters? So what it actually says and what the outcome, like what is the content present in the warning letter is these key areas. First one is the issuing authorities. The regulatory warning letters are typically issued by the government agencies responsible for overseeing specific industries, such as US FDA, or for Europe it is EMA, or if it is taken for Japan it is PMDA. So those kind of regulatory bodies which is responsible for that country will be given, they'll be issuing this kind of warning letters. So what is the purpose of this? So the primary purpose of this regulatory warning letter is to notify recipient about identified non-compliance issues with regulatory requirements. It also serves as an official record of regulatory agencies' concerns. So what will be the contents of this warning letter? So warning letter will typically include a detailed description of observed violations, citing specific regulations or guidelines that have been breached. So they'll give the point on which you are non-compliant, and they also give according to which rule or which regulation. That also will be given under this content. And they may highlight the specific instances of non-compliance, such as quality control issues, data integrity issues, or manufacturing process deviations or failures to meet the regulatory standards. Those things will be covered in the contents. And the corrective actions, the regulatory warning letter often outline the corrective actions that recipient must take to address the identified issues. So for some points, they may ask you to provide what is the corrective action you are going to take. But for some critical regulatory deviations, they'll straight away give you what are the corrective actions you have to take if you want the approval for that country. And if you want to supply your medicines to that country, you need to take those kind of corrective actions to get your product approval. So the recipient is usually expected to submit a written response detailing the corrective measures planned or implemented along with the timeline of completion. So timeline for this response. So warning letter specifically deadline for recipient to respond adequately for the concerns raised, and the response timeline is critical, and failure to respond the stipulated period may lead to further regulatory actions. So within the stipulated time, we have to reply to the warning letters. And consequences of non-compliance. Non-compliance with the corrective actions outlined in the warning letter can lead to more severe regulatory actions, such as product recalls. They may charge you some fines, or they may take some legal actions, or even facility shutdowns may happen if you are not complying with the warning letter. And public disclosure. Normally, these warning letters will be kept in open public domains so that stakeholders, people, and employees of the company, everyone should know what is the deficiencies of that company, and everyone should know what is the criticality they are going through. So for that purpose, normally these kind of warning letter will be kept in direct public domain, like whatever the regulatory authorities website will be there, in that it will be displayed as a warning letter. So public disclosure aims to inform stakeholders and including consumers about the regulatory concerns and what all the actions we have taken to know that it will be displayed in public domain. And follow-up inspections. And these regulatory agencies often conduct the follow-up inspections to verify the corrective actions have been implemented effectively, and failure to address these issues may result in the escalated regulatory actions also. So what is the impact to the industry if this warning letter is issued? So regulatory warning letters can have significant implications for the reputation of company and its products within the industry. So stakeholders, including investors and customers, may closely monitor such communications. So continuous compliance monitoring. Once any regulatory agencies, they have audited and they found some deficiency, a close monitoring will be done continuously in those specific areas where the deficiencies were found, to make sure that those kind of quality issues will not occur further. And the company, they just make sure that the company is following that kind of quality in those deficiency areas. So it is important for the companies to take regulatory warning letters seriously, and they have to respond promptly with comprehensive corrective action and proactive measures to address these compliance issues and prevent their reoccurrence are essential to maintain this regulatory compliance and to uphold the quality and safety of the products or services. So what is the impact of warning letters? So what happens? Yeah, some companies are audited and we have like any international regulatory, they have given a warning letter to those companies. What are the immediate consequences happen to this company, or what are the phases company goes through if it is a warning letter issue? So when it comes to impact of warning letter, it is summarized in just for the understanding purpose. I have summarized in these three categories. So if it is NDA, new drug application, so FDA may withhold your approval of new drug applications, listing your facilities until and above the violations are corrected. So for any facility, if warning letter is issued, and in that facility, if you might have already given a new drug application also. So those kind of applications, everything will be kept in hold unless and until you do these corrective actions for your warning letter. And for CFGs, so FDA may withhold the approval of this request for export certifications and a certificate to foreign government until the violations are corrected. Those certificates will be kept in hold so that you will not be exporting this medicines to any other country, or the country from which you got the regulatory warning letter. To those countries, it will be banned until you comply this warning letter. Then contracting. So other federal agencies may take this warning letter into account when considering the award of contracts. So if FDA has been given warning letter, don't think that I can go ahead and do marketing in EMA. So normally any regulatory warning letters are issued. Even for other countries also, they initially ask for, or they'll be going through these kind of warning letters, so that unless and until you are not complying to this warning letters, even they will not continue the contracts. So if the inspected establishment is OUS facility, means out of United States facility, FDA may issue import alerts, and it prevents the products from the facility from being imported to United States. So what are the potential consequences? So it gives the corporate warning letter, and the regulatory meeting may happen. In the regulatory meeting, what are all the corrected and majority of the violations, violative conditions noted in the warning letter, and used to provide additional encouragement, direction, assistance in achieving the compliance, will be done through the regulatory meeting once the warning letter is issued. So FDA may remind a firm or individual in the regulatory meeting that failure to make appropriate corrections in a timely manner may result in the enforcement action. So it is based on the FDA guidelines as per the regulatory meeting. These are all the guidelines. So if you are not complying furthermore, even the seizure of this facility may occur, or injection or consented decree also may occur. May court give the injection orders, and some legal proceedings also will be taken if you are not taking any action against the warning letters. So I have just attached a reference 483 so that so this is the warning letter which is displayed in the FDA website. So in this, you can see what are the details they have captured. So what is the address and phone number of this inspectors and the inspection regulatory, and what is the date of inspection, what is the inspection reference number, and to whom this warning letter is issued. Those details also captured in this, and the company details and the company location, and what are all the type of manufacturing this company is doing. Everything is captured in the header. And if you see this document, they started with the introduction, and post that they started during this inspection, what are all the kind of observations they found. And the observation is very clearly mentioned, and complete explanation will be given for these observations. So you can see some 3 to 4 observations has been given in this. And in this report, you can see they have given some kind of recommendation also.
అయిపోతుంది తనని లాస్ట్ వేవర్ 2,000 అన్నారు.
And as per which act or as per regulatory, and which related to what aspects they are failed to meet the compliance, they have given everything in this regulatory report, in this warning letter.
ఫైబర్ ఎక్కువగా ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి వెయిట్ లాస్ అవ్వాలంటే ప్లస్ ఇది కొలెస్ట్రాల్ కూడా తగ్గిస్తుంది.
And that's it for the today. And if you people have any questions, please we'll take up.
సందీప్ సార్,
The students
Yeah.
are having any queries, please post in the chat box, or you can directly interact with the sir by unmuting your.
Madam, your voice is low.
సందీప్ సార్,
Yeah, tell me.
will you please put on your camera?
Yeah.
Please keep your camera on, sir, for documentation purpose. We need to take some photographs. So students are requested to post any doubts or queries if they have in the chat box, so that sir will clarify the doubts. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your presentation, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay. Thanks for the great information, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So students are requested to join at 10 o'clock for tomorrow's session, that is basic session 1. Thank you. Now we can wind up the session. Thank you so much. Dr.
Thanks.
Salvi?
Ma'am, shall I drop?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.